They were physical and mental giants who did wonders in the world. Genesis chapter 6 verse 5 says, and Allah, God, saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continuously. When we start miscegenation and integration with other nations, that's when our troubles started. And those offspring of ours, they began to look upon the land and cast curious eyes upon the land. And these Europeans began to go into the land of Europe, and their daughters began to marry our sons. These Europeans began to cast curious eyes upon the land, to fight for it, only to destroy it out of their hatred for what was done for them. And it grieved the pharaohs of Egypt in the land. We actually said, what have we done? What have we turned loose here? It's gotten away from us somewhere, because we still can't remember. We still cannot remember. This is the history of your noble ancestors who graced the land of Ham. A people's gods are just like the people are. And when a people are in continued adversity, they are not in tune with their own God, but most likely are worshiping strange gods. When a people or a nation is in continued adversity, something's wrong. Black people are in adversity. Black people are up against the wall. Why? Why? I mean, black people, all these years you all been going around here. Wow. Ever since I reached the age of reason, I've been on this black understanding thing. And I see our people still, after all these years, I'm in my 60s, and I still see my people still suffering. I still see them still suffering and trying to, find a place, proper place in this world. Still, something is wrong, people. Something is wrong. And the prophet tells you what's wrong is you most likely are worshiping foreign gods. Is that simple? Is that simple? He says race, creed, and color hatred are evil delusions left over by a prejudiced past, but have no place in a modern world. And he is telling the truth. This world has no place for racism. This world has no place for prejudice. So anybody who's practicing that, we need to turn our back on them. We need to turn our back on them. But our people aren't doing that. We still run into him for salvation. How many times I got to see it in this one lecture? He dogged us out and we still running to him. Still running to him. He says this racism and this prejudice, hey, they are evil delusions left over from a prejudiced past. So let's forsake all these religions out there who are letting this racism and prejudice go on in the world. If people who are part of those religions are still racist and prejudiced, I don't want no part of it. And you shouldn't either. Because it has no place in a modern world. Their gods are outmoded, meaning out of date. That's old hat. Don't come talking to me about racism. That stuff is old. You know. He said those gods are outmoded, obsolete, with less than human frailties and weaknesses. And they do. So purge them out of your minds. Stage a peaceful, spiritual, and cultural revolt, like Moses did. It is a world's challenge in the behalf of a prophet when he comes and brings a new God to a dying nation or race. It's a world challenge. Once again, the prophet is telling you what a big job you got. Because we're carrying the word of the prophet. And he's saying it's a world challenge to you. If it's a world challenge to him, then you know it's a world challenge to you. Because you coming with his word. You coming with the word. So it's a world challenge to us to try to get this across. We will have to revamp our pre-slavery status and live the life that we once enjoyed before the sons of Allah met the daughters of men. Remember, the first commandment in the civil laws of Ethiopia, Africa, and Egypt was this law: thou shalt have no other God before me. Meaning, don't put anybody else's or anybody else's nation's God before yours. Don't put anybody's or any other nation's God before yours. That was the first commandment. Do not forsake your God. The Gospel is set forth the tenets, doctrines, beliefs, and philosophy of the Fahami prophet. He says there can be peace and unity between white and black through understanding. Fahami means culture and understanding. A people may be civilized and follow a strange God, or they may be cultured and follow a civilized God. For civilization only means the development of all things, good and bad. A change of gods means a change of thought. Fahami means understanding and divine culture. Both white and black must be educated out of their racial bigotry and ignorance. That's what Islam is. Islam has no color line. Islam is all people. Islam is for everyone. Islam treats all individuals fairly, without no pretense about color or creed or anything. You are fine. So come to Islam. Come to the religion of Isis, El, and Amun. Again, I say, sometimes the people have to change gods to get results. There is but one God, but he has many names. always had black or colored people in the world, but not Negroes. God created the people. Circumstances created the Negro. It is up to him to change his culture and philosophy and psychology. The trademark of Egypt and Ethiopia is the hallmark of the modern world.
Okay.
The prophet said the trademark of Egypt and Ethiopia is the hallmark of today's, meaning modern world. The wings, the circle, the cross, the square, the cube, the star and crescent, the dove, and the virgin. And they are all very ancient emblems of Isis, El, and Amun,
I'm good.
the founders of Islam. Thousands of years BC. All people, white or black, are sons and daughters of heaven or God, regardless of race, creed, color, or place of birth. All are gods and goddesses. Islam. Islam. Remember that. Know what it is. Islam. If the European Americans mean to integrate in truth, if the European Americans mean to integrate with us in truth, let his best women, and not the remnants of his nation, like most of our people sell for and still think they cool, let his best women, and not the remnants of his nation, come forward. And let them say, like Naomi said in the Bible, in Ruth chapter 1, verse 16, 17. To truly integrate, Ruth said, let our God, and that's what white folks must say, they must say, let our God become the God of the black people, meaning let the Fahami God become the God of white folks. If the white folks really want to integrate with us in truth, let them accept our God as their God. Let them accept our God as their God. But let us not follow the God of the white race. We cannot go their way. They have to come our way and accept our God if they really want true integration. They got to say, hey, it's Muhammad above all. And come on home. And come on home. But we cannot accept their God like we doing today. We got to give it up. The purpose of life is to establish the state of that which is alive and to exercise vital activity. We must pay the price of being alive. Life is eternal, but it has its limitations as to the consumption of the body.